Here are 8 design concepts that enabled founders to create better mousetraps, unlock faster growth, some beyond $1 million, some even beyond $30 million in annual recurring revenue.
Welcome to Product Income Maker.
Product design tactic unlocking growth, bringing over 1 million ARR. Number 1, practice a customer-centric mindset. This sounds obvious, but I believe it's more of a mindset you need to continuously practice. Practicing a customer-centric mindset means practicing deep empathy for the persona you are trying to serve, which requires continuous reflection, being curious, asking better questions, and listening not only to customers' answers, but more importantly, to their actions. Lyndon Tibbetts of If This and That, who is reportedly making $1.7 million in annual recurring revenue from 650 customers as of 2022, learned from the games design industry to always be thinking about the customer.
And I decided, okay, what I liked about games and movies was you were automatically oriented around the user, the person that was consuming it, right? Like every decision you make was just naturally, whether you were a designer or not, like you were thinking about this other person and you were building something for them.
Product design tactic number 2, make customer feedback visible to everyone. Some of the hardest decisions you need to make is what to focus on and exactly what to develop. One thing that helped me make better product decisions and create better team alignment is to record discovery conversations with customers or prospects. With these recordings, other team members can listen, become more empathetic with customers' perspectives, and make their own judgment of what prospects said and what they meant when they gave a particular piece of feedback. By doing it, you get everyone in the team to be more accountable and to continuously learn about customers' viewpoints. Rather than only me or another product lead responsible for prioritizing product features, I aim for creating a process of an open culture and alignment towards what are we doing and why, starting with what customers said and how do we serve them best. So it's not about who is the boss or who has a better brilliant idea around the table right now. It's not about who is right now. It's about a process of being data-driven toward getting it right. Product design tactic number 3, bringing 6 million ARR. Remove. When you design your product, remove features until there's nothing else to remove. I love the story of when Michelangelo was asked how did he create a beautiful sculpture of David. He answered that he merely chipped away everything that wasn't David. I love the quote by David Gerard, the co-founder and CEO of Upstart, saying, "Simplicity is a feature."
I think the single biggest thing I have learned that I would pass along to my younger self is to fight the complexity as absolutely hard as you can, particularly in enterprise technology. Because starting with the product, the usual thing of large customers and everybody else pushing complexity in your product and trying to serve every 2% of users who have different needs, that's part of it. And maybe that's the obvious one people know. But the organizational complexity, how your sales teams are structured, how sales teams are comped, everything about enterprise business is pushed toward real challenging complexity that really ultimately it becomes inertia and slows things down. Hard to bring new people on because they take 3 months to understand the price list, things like that, right? So I think if there's anything I've learned is the CEO's job more than anything to just realize you have to say no to a ton of things and that the simplicity is a feature of every part, whether it's a product, organization, compensation, no matter what you want to get. Like simplicity is a feature and you should fight like hell for it as much as you can.
Goldcast reached 600,000 monthly recurring revenue in under 3 years by focusing on simpler onboarding for event organizer, removing advanced features which required too complex understanding of the product. When I asked which product features or concepts contributed the most to simplicity and better onboarding, here's Palash Soni, CEO and co-founder response.
So there were 2 aspects to it. One is the attendee experience itself. So as a buyer, I would first see how it looks like as an attendee before I even decide to talk to a customer. And so our attendee experience was actually pretty simple. A lot of players at that time were optimizing. Actually, all of them were optimizing towards adding as many things as they can, like adding speed networking or adding a bunch of things like surveys and polls. So what happened is it started looking clunky and the attendee experience was not that great. So we focused on simplicity, saying, okay, your brand and content is front and center. We'll make things simple so that you can engage people and deliver that brand while making it not overwhelming. The second part is the ease of use for the organizers. So events can be super complex, especially as you go beyond 200-300 people. You want a lot of things. And then there is like a good balance of how much configurability you add and where you say no. And we iterated on that very fast in the 4 months we were in beta. So we said, okay, anything that requires a marketer to understand like an advanced concept that they don't already know, we should not do it. So it will just be a few toggles, a few things that you can configure, but not beyond that. So we deliberately cut on functionality, which was a risky decision at that time. But our bet was that a simpler sort of first onboarding and adoption experience will be worth it for them to realize, okay, maybe I don't need those many bells and whistles.
Product design tactic unlocking growth, bringing $30 million in annual recurring revenue. Number 4, make a product that does only one thing. This tactic is taking the previous one, remove, all the way to the extreme. Design a product to do only one thing. Brian Clayton reached $3 million per month with GreenPal lawn matchmaking service. His best advice designing a product is following the law of the red route, which resembles the red route in London, which can only go one way. Founders make the error of trying to build their product with many options to mimic the likes of Airbnb. But you're not them. You're not Airbnb. At the beginning, you have to design for one thing.
We design for Homer Simpson drunk. That's how easy it has to be. When it comes to product design, I read a book on product design, and there's this one little simple heuristic called the law of the red route. And in London, there's this red line that goes down the center of the street. That's the line that the bus goes down, and it can only go one way. So the law of the red route is when you're designing a product, the user can only go one way. You can literally, you start here and you can't go anywhere else. I think a lot of new founders look at established companies like Airbnb or Expedia or whatever, and like you could do all these million things with it. You're not them. You got to be the best in the world at one thing. And that's how we've approached building GreenPal. It's the best in the world of getting somebody to come make your grass short.
Product design tactic unlocking growth. Number 5, pre-integrate into their workspace. Nadia Fisher of WittyWorks started their language tool, which helps to write more inclusively, as a web application. But listen to feedback that customers don't want to use a new dedicated application, but rather they want the tool to help them write more inclusively within the tools they already work with, such as email clients and Notion. So she had made the bold decision to cut $23,000 in monthly recurring revenue coming from the web application and rebuild the product from scratch as a browser extension.
We used to have an MVP with which we tested the market to make sure that are we really sure that actually inclusive language is something that companies would spend money on. And with that MVP already, that was also a self-serve product, we reached an MRR within 8 months of 23,000, so very quick. But we realized that it had flaws. One was that it was really limited only to job ads. And many companies told us, yeah, but we don't want to write inclusively only when it comes to job ads, right? We want to write inclusively everywhere. And the other thing was also that it was a web app. So you had to kind of switch away from your internal systems to that web app. That's why we then built the browser plugin. And with that browser plugin, we are now live since January with the freemium and with the premium since April. And we already see here a first contract coming through.
Product design tactic unlocking growth. Number 6, integrate deeply. According to Pilar Soni, co-founder and CEO of Goldcast, the key is not merely doing many integrations on the surface level, but rather nailing fewer integrations that really matter a lot more deeply.
The core sort of value prop and how we hooked people for the long term was our integrations. So again, our focus here played a big role. So a lot of people were claiming that they have integrations with 50 players, but integrations are hard to get and they mean different things for different people. And we basically picked 2 integrations, Marketo and HubSpot, right? Which is 80% of the market in B2B. And we really killed it in those 2. And that helped us a lot in the early days.
Product design tactic bringing $100,000 in monthly recurring revenue in 4 weeks. Number 7, replace customer experiences that require to integrate and glue multiple products into one product with all the functionality built organically into that product, dismissing the need for cumbersome integrations. John Derbyshire invested in dozens of startups and realized that people are wasting time gluing integrations together. So he founded SmartSuite and reached $100,000 monthly recurring revenue in under 4 weeks by investing in and launching a product that replaced the need to glue a few systems together.
I just want to have one product that's like a business operating system that I can just run my business on and interact with people and do my work and not have to think so much about these systems and how I begin to build them out using one-off systems and products to cobble together to solve that problem. So the original idea for SmartSuite and the business pain that we saw was that people are working with 6 or 8 different products to get their job.
Worky grows 30% month over month by pre-packaging a website builder, a payment system, and a scheduling system, replacing the cumbersome alternative where solopreneurs used to glue and integrate these different tools together.
We were thinking about the market, and we were seeing that on the market, there are like marketplaces, a lot of different marketplaces, and there are like a lot of different website builders, a lot of different video calls, etc., etc. And our first thoughts was to put everything in one place, to have it like without extra integrations, just out of the box, and have it free for our users.
Product design tactic unlocking 30% month over month user growth. Number 8, drive customers faster to the aha moment. Users give you a few seconds of grace before they're being distracted by the next thing. If you don't deliver clear value during those seconds, your activation rate will suffer. Worky transition from stalling growth to 30% month over month user growth by shortening the time customers realize an aha moment to a few seconds. Throughout onboarding, they pulled information from their users' social media to automatically populate and create a personal website with as little user input as possible.
So before it was like paying or filling all the data about yourself. Now it's just pick up the photo, click domain, and click publish. 3 buttons, and you already have it up and running. So that is very important to you because you are getting about 10, 20 seconds of your user's attention after sign up.
Nadia of WittyWorks tested a few product onboarding flows and found that the fastest you drive users to the aha moment, the lower your churn.
What improved a lot was something very simple, actually, was the product onboarding. So we tested several product onboarding cycles, and we realized this one works really well. And just by then finally choosing that one and making the aha moment very early, so you kind of download it and you click once, and then you see already how it works. You can test it out directly yourself. That really made churn come down very quickly because people realize, okay, this is how it works. And this has to be very fast, especially when you're kind of going into product-led growth as a go-to-market strategy. The aha moment has to be very soon. And yeah, it took us some while to find that out. But once we did, the churn went down immediately.
While these design concepts are simple to understand, they're not always easy to implement. Implementation is more art than science, but if you do follow these recommendations, the path towards your product scaling to multi-million dollars in revenue is going to be a lot easier. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. It helps me with the channel. Check out productincomemaker.com for more founders' growth stories, and see you next time.